Okay, how'd you do? Welcome to Earth Science, and how'd you do? This should be filled in on your notes. If it is not, stop. Go back and watch the end of the last video, which tells you kind of how to do these questions right here, okay? Just copying what I put on this video is kind of wasting your time, honestly. You know what I mean? So practice them, see how it goes. I'll go over all of them, and we'll take it from there. All right. So using rule number one, which three-letter points at the same elevation? Rule number one states that a contour line represents an elevation, therefore all points on a contour line have the same value. So you got A, B, C, and D here, and A, C, and B are all on that line, all at what we're going to call in a few minutes 310 feet above, or I'm sorry, meters above sea level. D is lower. D is going to be down to 230. It looks like. All right, so this should say A, B, and C. Cool. Using rule number two, what is the contour interval of this map, which I kind of already hinted at. Rule two is about contour intervals, that the change in elevation in between each line should be the same. So the way to figure that out, it's kind of like when you have one of those graduated cylinders from over there. Look at like the value that's printed and the other value that's printed, count the lines in between and try to figure it out. A lot of ways to do it. People will like take the difference and divide by the number of lines. I've always been like a guess and see if it works. Maybe I think they go by 50. So I say, okay, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450, 500. Oh, that didn't work. That must not be the right answer. If you haven't caught on, it's tens on this map: 250, 260, 270, 280, 290, 300. However works for you, but that's what contour interval is. That's kind of the most vocabby thing I think that we're going to have here. Is what is the contour interval? In this case, 10 meters. Now, on many maps, not all, that'll be printed right there, and that will be helpful. That's not all of them. Sometimes you got to figure it out. Using rule number three, which is the thing about index contours, those are the ones that are labeled. This one's pretty easy. What do you see? You see the 250, the 300, and the 350. So let's just write those. If you say this is lame, why did I have to do that? Those are just printed right there. The point is that you just start seeing maps and thinking about what these things are. It's going to get harder. If you thought that was way too easy for you, that's great, but it's going to get harder. Make sure you got these building blocks before we go forward. For like lines can't touch. Do these lines touch? Nope, we're good. Um, Rule number five was this idea that contour lines never end. They either reach the edge of the map or circle back on themselves. So I maybe stated this slightly awkwardly, but what I was trying to say is towards the bottom of the map, they look different than they do towards the top of the map. What's the deal down here? Down here, they reach the edge of the map, whereas up here, they make those circles. Those are the two legal options. Remember, you can't just have one end. And I guess we might as well note here that Long Creek, that's a creek, small river, on the map. So it's not following the rules, and that's okay because it's not a contour line; it's a creek. It crosses other contour lines. It ends, but that's because it's representing a physical river that's sitting right there in this location. So towards the bottom, lines reach the edge of the map. Towards the top, lines make circles, loops. You know, they're not perfect circles, obviously, because they're the shape of the hills. Rule number six, where would you go to find the steepest hill? Rule number seven, where would you go to find the gentlest hill? And I asked you to color them in. So let's do those rules. When the lines are close together, it says it has a high gradient. The next video you're going to watch, I really recommend it's from REI, a professional like outdoor clothing and backpacking supply company. They do really good visualizations showing the map and some mountains. It'll lock these two rules in, and it's only about 3 minutes long. So do it after you're done with this. So where is there a high gradient? I'd say that's right in here. So I asked you to just like use a color. I didn't say what color, right? No. So I'd say like this region here. If you were through here, that's the steepest part. The lines are closest together. And then using a different color, whereas a gentle, I'd say like up here, where the lines are far apart, that means that the elevation is not changing much per area. So that's going to be a more gentle slope. So if you're like a daredevil skier, you want to go down there. If you want to stay on the bunny slopes, the easy trails, so you would go down there. Cool. I'll erase it, but you can leave yours on there. That takes care of 6 and 7. All right, rule number 8. Like I said, I promised that this would come up. These little V's point upstream. So how can we tell which way the stream is flowing? Now, there's two ways to correctly legally answer this. One is the obvious one, where if you're looking at these numbers, you say, well, water flows downhill. I know that because I've lived on this earth for a long time, right? Let's throw that misconception out there that all water flows south. It's not the case. It's not the case over there on the Salmon River. That water flows westward. And I don't know if that's in your head or not. A lot of people are like, water flows south. It's just how it works. I'm like, so there's some big river systems like the Mississippi that do, but that's not a rule. The rule is that water flows downhill. So in this case, since we have the elevations marked and we know it's going 250 up to 300, it looks like up to like 310. So this is up somewhere between 310 and 320 that this starts, and it flows down to lower elevation. So you can go with that. Like that's okay. And if you want to do both, that's the easier of the two. Water flows downhill to south on this map. Now, the more important picky rule is the one we really got to get down because what the Regents will like to do to make sure you got this in your head is throw this at you, but they won't put any numbers on there. And you're still going to have to figure out which way the stream flows. So if we didn't have those three numbers, could we figure it out? Yes, because the contour line V's point upstream. And we know upstream is like where the water's coming from. So this is the big one. I'm changing colors. I'm making the font big. The V's points upstream. That answer right there. 1, 2, 3, 4 words. We'll get you points. I promise. That's going to be on quizzes and tests. Okay. And that's as wordy as you have to be. I don't need an essay about the nature of topographic maps. How do you know where the water flows? V's point upstream. Job done. And so I guess you would maybe if the question was saying which way does it flow and how do you know, you'd have to say south. How do you know? V's point upstream. Okay. How'd you do? Even if you mess a few up, hopefully we're figuring out how to amend that, and we will have more to come. Good job. Keep it up, folks.